Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. When we look within to find our Dharma, our path, and when we make choices in life about our path, it's really important to understand what is the foundation from which I am making these decisions. So for example, one foundation would be, I'm making these decisions because this is what my parents have told me to do. They want me to be a doctor, I'm a doctor. They want me to be an engineer, I'm an engineer. They want me to get married to this person at this time and live in this place. I marry this person at that time and I live in this place. That's one way of making decisions, one ground from which we take inspiration to make our decisions. Another one is, my parents want me to be a doctor, therefore I will be anything but a doctor. I absolutely, no matter how much I love medicine, I absolutely refuse to be a doctor because I will not do what they want. My parents love this guy I'm dating. They really want me to marry him. Therefore, I'm going to break up next week. Now, in both cases, you'll notice we are making a decision based on what other people want. In the first one, we're doing it because it's what they want. In the second case, we're doing it because it's the opposite of what they want. But in both cases, the very ground from which we are making a decision is that which we are being told to do. Meaning, in neither case are we actually looking within for the answers. In neither case are we actually anchoring, grounding, checking in with what really feels right. And I mention this because there's a lot of times in our life where, especially if we have parents who are particularly determined and vocally determined and very energetically determined, we may find ourselves not doing what they want. Not because we really don't want to do it, but just because we don't want to do whatever it is they want us to do. And I notice in the question she's asked, how can I be an independent woman, not giving in to my family's determination to see me married? Now, nowhere in the question does it even mention whether she wants to be married or not. What she wants is independence. And it's critical because I think a lot of us, and I certainly know that I did this when I was young, we make decisions that are not actually what deeply we want. They're not deeply what's right for us. But we do them because they're the exact opposite of what we're being told to do. And in our very beautiful yearning for independence, which we all should have. In our yearning to just for once, for God's sakes, make my own decision, we do the opposite of what we're being told. But if you realize we're actually then being just as much of a puppet, we're not actually being independent. We're still being dependent. We're just dependent in rebellion rather than dependent in obedience. But I'm still not really doing what I want. And so what I would say to this, presumably, it is a young woman, she said, an independent woman. What I would say to this young woman is, for a moment, forget what everyone's telling you to do. Know that you are independent. Know that you do have total free will. What is it, aside from what anyone is telling you to do? What is it actually that you want to do? And if deeply what you want is not to be married, well, then it's going to take some courage to explain that to your family, but that's all right. She sounds like a young woman with courage. She's courageous enough to send in a question in advance for satsang. So there's that opening. Because remember, ultimately, what our parents really want is for us to be happy. That's ultimately the goal of parents, is that their children should be happy. Now, typically they want us to be happy according to their agenda, because in their mind, that's what we're supposed to do. And if we do what we're supposed to do, then we'll be happy. But at the end of the day, what I've seen in my own personal life and in so many other people's lives is, if you are finding a path that really brings you happiness, that really brings you fulfillment and meaning and joy and peace, even if it's not what your parents had in their agenda, they will support it because it's ultimately what's bringing you joy and peace. And I'm not saying they're going to support it immediately. It may take them a little time. I know when I first decided I was moving back to India and I was not going to finish my Ph.D. program, and I did eventually finish it, but at the time I didn't know that I would go back and do that. At the time I was just leaving everything and moving to India and joining an ashram. And I remember I wrote my mom a letter first before I spoke to her, because I knew her first reaction would be no. That was sort of the standard first reaction frequently. So I thought, I want her to get the no out of her system first. Let her and my dad have their own, between them, how dare she, what did she think she's doing, conversations, and get that out of the way so that by the time I actually came to a conversation, they had some breathing room, they had time to think about it, and I was able to really present to them why I knew this was my dharma, why I knew this was right. And ultimately they supported me. And then they even became super happy about it as the years went by. Because they realized, okay, it's not our agenda, it wasn't what we had thought. But she's so happy. She's in such peace, she's doing such good work, that they became really happy. And I've seen this in so many cases with people. Your parents, in most cases, not all the time, but most of the time, they're a lot stronger than we may think they are. A A lot of us walk on eggshells around our parents lest we don't upset them. But we don't realize that they're actually a lot stronger than we give them credit for. And they're a lot wiser than we may give them credit for. And they know us quite well and quite deeply. And if we go to them and we really explain why right now getting married is not what's right for us, not because I'm rebelling against you, but really because here's all of the other things I want to do before I get married. I think most of them would understand. But just make sure that it's not out of rebellion. That it's not that you're not going to get married simply so you can feel independent. Because then you're not independent. Then you're just a rebel against what they say. And that's still dependent. Real independence is the freedom to make a decision that is not affected either way by what the culture says, by what other people say, by all of the different strings and cords that bind us. But that's made in wisdom. Recklessness is not independence. Rebellion is not independence. Independence requires wisdom. For me actually to know what the right decision is. So find that real inner wisdom. And then present it to them. And once they get over the very first initial reaction, I think they'll actually support you. And if not, well, then you're going to have to find the courage to walk your path, even without their support at this moment. A path of love, a path of respect, a path of caring, but a path that also loves and cares and respects your own dharma. That respects them, cares for them, loves them, and loves and respects your own path and your own dharma. And a path that holds both of those things together is ultimately the path of independence. Because independence does not mean that I trample all over everybody around me. Doesn't mean I become the, elephant in a china shop. Or the bull in the china shop, rather. It's not what it's about. The wisdom within independence is a wisdom that takes everything into consideration. The people around me, my own internal sense, Mother Earth, all of it. So anchor in and find that wisdom, and then walk your path. The truth is a magnet. Truth attracts people. And when you really live your truth, you don't have to shove it down people's throat. You just have to live it. And slowly, 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 people will come around. Parents especially.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me. So, anger is something that afflicts a lot of people, most people. And the dilemma is that we make these very conscious decisions. I'm not going to get angry. But it's not our conscious mind that gets angry. It's our subconscious mind that reacts. When we are fully present in our consciousness, that's not when we react in anger. Those are the moments where the only anger that we might feel is you're reading about the situation of hunger in the world. And you feel full of pain and anger that we could have a situation, a system in the world in which people are hungry. But that's not the type of anger that makes us shout and scream and punch holes through walls or hit somebody or do something that we later regret. That type of anger comes when we are unconscious. And so this is the dilemma. My conscious mind says, okay, no more anger. But when the anger arises, my conscious mind is nowhere to be found. I'm on subconscious autopilot, habitual reaction. And this is why the healing needs to take place on a subconscious level. It's also why I need to be more and more conscious. Because if I stay conscious, then I prevent myself from acting out in anger. If I am anchored and grounded consciously, then I'm not going to lose myself. When you are conscious, you never do things that you later say, oh my God, how could I have done that? Oh my God, that wasn't me. That wasn't what I meant. We only do that when we are not there. When we are reacting subconsciously, unconsciously. So, number one way of handling this is make sure you're conscious as much as possible. It's why we meditate. It trains us to stay conscious. It trains us to bring the awareness back. We get distracted. We bring it back. We get distracted. We bring it back. Get distracted. Bring it back. We keep bringing it back. And that teaches us and trains us in our life that when our consciousness goes off someplace and we end up therefore on this robotic way, this reactionary way, we learn to bring it back. To just bring that awareness back. Bring it back. So we stay grounded and anchored. But the other way is to also treat that subconscious programming, which meditation does, and which deep healing does. Our anger stems from a sense that I'm not getting what I want. जो मैं चाहती हूँ नहीं हो रहा है या जो मैं नहीं चाहती हूँ वही हो रहा है. What I don't want to happen is happening. What I do want to happen is not happening. And so we get angry because there's this sense that somehow we are entitled to the world. doing our bidding. And this is where really deep subconscious reprogramming is so important to really help us understand. I don't need this person to act in a certain way, this person to speak in a certain way, the weather to be like this, the traffic to be like that, my employees to behave like this, in order for me to be happy. Because that's where we lose ourselves. Is not only things aren't happening the way we want them to, but we believe deeply that therefore we cannot be happy because what I want isn't happening. And I need it to happen to be happy. But if we're able to tap into a source of joy within us, that's actually our nature. I mean, you look at kids. What do kids need to be happy? Their own toes. Right? I mean, anybody who's ever been a mother or a grandmother or an older sister or an aunt, or, you put a kid on the ground and their legs go up in the air and they are very happy to just keep playing with their toes endlessly. They get a little older. You give them a present. It's in a box. It's wrapped. They're very happy with the box and the wrapping paper. We're always the ones saying, no, open it. Open it. The present's inside. That's not the present. Open it. The kid is great with the box. It's only as we get older and as we develop these very hardened egos that we come to believe that we need so much in order to be happy. Not just the money I want or the items I want, but I actually need everything in the world to go according to my design. Only then I can be happy. And this is why that reprogramming is so important to realize. I am joy. I am that same being who was happy with her toes. What would it take to go back to a place where my own toes were all I needed to be happy? Right? A full belly. Kids also, the things they cry about. Their diapers are full, their bellies are empty. What would it take us to go back to a place where, assuming that our metaphoric diapers are empty and stomach is full, that our own toes are all we need to be happy? And how beautiful is that? How much would we be able to let go of in our lives that we're so attached to, thinking it holds within it the answers to our happiness? And that's actually the key on a deep level to helping us move through anger. Because as long as I need so much in order to be happy, when I don't get it, I'm going to be miserable. So either I'm going to be depressed, anger-focused inward, or I'm going to be furious, pain-pointed outward. But it's that same sense of I'm not getting what I want, and the pain of that. Because I believe that getting what I want is what I need. So if we really could learn that we don't actually need it. Yeah, it's nice when people talk to you nicely. It's nice when they're respectful. It's nice when they keep their word. It's nice when they don't lie and cheat and steal. But actually the truth is, I can be happy even if other people are lying and cheating and stealing and being rude and obnoxious. And if we can realize that we can be, well, then you'll find your anger dissipates. Obviously, your joy grows, but you become free of that anger because I no longer need you to stop being obnoxious in order for me to be happy. I no longer need your respect in order for me to be happy. And so I'm able to let go. So that's the work.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. As human beings, we crave connection. From the time we're born, we're constantly looking and craving for connection. First, of course, with the parents. But then we continue to be looking for that connection with people around us. When we have it, we feel wonderful. When we're surrounded by people who love us and appreciate us and speak nicely to us and want to be with us, we feel fantastic. When we feel like suddenly they no longer do, suddenly we're being ignored, shut out. In today's social media lingo, we're being ghosted. Right? We suffer. The problem is that the solution to that yearning for connection is not actually in our social circle. With an active social circle, with people not ghosting us, with people being engaged and responsive and connected to us, we're able to ignore, deny, not experience the suffering of the lack of connection. But the truth is that it's not from our social circle that actually that deep connection comes. It's not from people online from whom that real connection comes. Which means that no matter how many friends we may have responding to us, inviting us to parties, going for meals, having us come to their weddings, liking our posts, it doesn't actually give us what that deep longing for connection is really about, which is connection with the divine, connection with our true self, our higher self, that divinity within us. That's what the longing is. Our soul is infinite. It's using this body. It's here in this body for this particular go around, this particular incarnation. But the soul is infinite. Now, when it's in this body, and when we identify in ignorance with this body, we suffer. We feel suffocated. And we're constantly trying to look for ways to expand. So we buy lots of things. We buy them and we feel like I have somehow expanded, like this was me before. Now look at me with all my shopping bags. I've expanded in some way. Or we eat. That sense of an overfull stomach filled with typically junk makes us feel expanded. Now, these are obviously not ways that actually get us back in touch with the truth of who we are as that expansive, infinite soul. But when we don't know any better, that's what we do. We're just looking for ways to again feel the truth of the soul, to again feel that expansive self. One of the ways is shopping. One of the ways is eating. And one very big way is by filling our lives with lots of people. See, if I feel connected to them, then I feel like I've expanded. See, all of these people are now me. So I feel in some very superficial way like I've attained that which I'm looking for. Look at all my friends. Look at all the people who showed up at my party. Look at all my followers online. Look at how busy my social calendar is. I've expanded. I'm no longer this separate being over here. But all of these ways, whether it's shopping, whether it's food, whether it's the social connection, they're not actually addressing the core issue, which is I am not connected to the truth of my soul. I'm not connected to that expansive truth of myself. I'm not connected to my source, which is infinity, which is constant, infinite expansion, right? It sounds a bit paradoxical. If we're already infinite, how can we keep expanding? But it's true. We are infinite, and yet with our awareness, we actually keep having expanded consciousness. And that's actually what we're looking for on the deepest level. That sense of connection that we're deeply looking for is not with a social circle. It's with the capital S self, that truth of my own being. So there's nothing wrong with social circles. If you have them, wonderful, no problem, enjoy them. Friends are great, enjoy them. But recognize that when you feel, as the questioner asked, ignored, shut out, ghosted, not invited to the party, left out, the ache, the pain, the suffering that you experience is not actually due to that person. It's actually due to the fact that since that person is no longer connected with you in any meaningful way, you are again face to face with the true sense of disconnection, which actually is the source of your suffering, which is the sense of disconnection from yourself. And so rather than trying to figure out how to win them back, how to beg or plead or convince or manipulate or whatever it may be, instead of that, allow yourself to actually sit in that experience of feeling disconnected and recognize that it's not about that friendship, but it's actually so much deeper. And to really feel that internal pain of separation so that you can then find the right answer, which isn't begging that person to be your friend again, begging them to remember to invite you to the parties and not ignore you, but actually to reconnect with yourself, with the divine in yourself. And when you have that, then yeah, friends are a bonus. It's beautiful. We've got so much love in our heart. Why not share it? But the lack of someone to hang out with on Friday night or Saturday night, or the lack of people liking or commenting on your social media posts, lack of invitations to parties, no longer bothers you. Because you're so deeply anchored and connected to your source, to that expansive source, that you don't actually need anything or anyone from outside. So that's what to do when you feel shut out. Rediscover yourself as your own best friend. You know, we think that everyone should want to be our friend, meaning we must be a good person, a good friend. Otherwise, why would we think people would want to be our friends? Well, if we're such a good person to be friends with, that everyone should want to be our friend, why are we so uneager to be our own friends? If everyone else should want to spend time with us, why are we so uneager to spend time with ourselves? It's a very interesting question, because we feel so badly when we are alone. And yet, if we are half as good a friend as we would like others to think we are, or half as interesting a person as we'd like others to think we are, then we should really learn to enjoy our own company, to take ourselves up on the offer, to become our own best friend. So use this as an opportunity to become your own best friend, to find out really what is so great about you, that so many people love you, that so many people do want to be your friend. What is that beautiful aspect of you? Not just the infinite soul, but even you in this body, in this life, with your karmic journey and package. Are you a good listener? Are you funny? Do you have a good sense of humor? Are you compassionate? Are you wise? What are your qualities? Imagine that you had to write, a personal ad for, instead of an online dating app, imagine it was just an online Be My Friend app. What would you put in it? What would you say? Are you loyal? Are you sensitive? Are you empathetic? Find all of those qualities and then realize how fortunate you are, how blessed you are to not only be able to offer yourself to others as a friend, but to be able to have yourself as your own best friend. So many of us live our entire lives never really getting to know ourselves. The infinite divine self for sure, but not even our individual here in this karmic incarnation self. We don't even get to know ourselves at all. So take this being ignored and shut out by someone else as an opportunity to go inward and find the one who will never ignore you, who will never shut you out, who has to take you to every party they're invited to, can't be separate from yourself, and make yourself your own best friend. But then also remember to actually go deeper into the experience of the real true self, that infinite source, so that you really deeply address that sense of longing for connection, that sense of longing to be expanded. Reconnect with your own expansive self, and you'll never long for anything else again. Certainly not someone who can't see the wisdom in staying connected with you.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with Inspiration and Transformation. What do you consider to be the most motivating thing? The one thing that will make you change or do something that you don't want or don't think you want to do? I think the most motivating thing, what I've seen in my life personally, and in the lives of so many, is that the greatest catalyst, the greatest motivator to change is realizing how stuck you are now. Habits are very sticky. It's very, very easy to keep doing that which we've always done. Minds don't like change. There's a fear of the unknown. There's a stress of changing everything. So in order to change ourselves, there's got to be some great motivating factor. And what I've seen is simply having other beings say, you should change, this is better than that, isn't really enough to make us change in any kind of a lasting or profound way. But when we know we are stuck, when we know that the way we're doing it doesn't work, eventually we change. It's like if you've ever been driving in a car with someone who's a bit of a stubborn driver, a bit of kind of an ego-filled driver. In the days before we had Google Maps and GPS, where you would actually have to ask directions. And in India, as you may or may not have noticed, most of the streets don't actually have street signs. And so directions would be things like, go ahead a little bit, and then you turn left at a gas station, and then you go ahead a little bit, and then you turn right at the apple tree, and then you go for, some time, and then there'll be a tall blue building, and you go straight past it. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in cars where the driver's saying, it's so clear to everybody in the car that we're lost. And the driver's saying, no, I know where I'm going. And everyone in the car is saying, just ask. Like, pull over and just ask the guy on the road where to go. And the driver says, no, I know where I'm going. And eventually, different amounts of time based on the personalities of different drivers, but eventually, the driver finally realizes there is no way that I'm going to kid my way through this one, and actually has to stop and roll down the window and swallow his or her ego and ask for directions. But only when they've literally done every other thing they can possibly think of, because the ego so much did not want to admit that they didn't know the way, that they couldn't find it on their own, as though somehow that were a sign of weakness, which of course it isn't, but people see it like that. And I think the same thing is true in life as well, not just driving on the road, that as long as we can keep telling ourselves, yeah, everything is fine just the way it is, yeah, I'm going to make it work, yeah, it's okay, I'll get over this, we don't actually deeply change. It's only when we hit what the 12-step programs refer to as the bottom do we actually finally reach out, literally or metaphorically, and say, help, I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck. And I think spiritually, it's the same. That our egos are so powerful. And the power of habit is so powerful that the only thing that's going to shake that, that's really going to get us to think in a different way, act in a different way, go completely against our own decades of habitual thinking, habitual living, go against the way that chances are we were raised, because that's probably what created the habits we have in the first place, is when we realize I'm stuck. Nothing I do is going to get me where I want to go. And I think that's the most motivating experience, because it motivates real change. If I just see some influencer on social media, doing something, I may be inspired or motivated to do it for a day or try it once so that, I can also feel like that person. But in general, it's stuff that doesn't stick. Until and unless something really shifts within us, a new way of being isn't going to catch. So if you find yourself literally or metaphorically falling, don't worry, it actually can be a good sign. Because it becomes that which is stronger even than the ego. That's strong enough to say, okay, fine, I am ready to admit I have no idea. No idea. And I need help. And I know for me and so many that I've seen, that's that which, the catalyzing factor which, really, really gets us to change, and gets us to change in a way where it sticks, where we really adopt and embrace a new way of being that actually works, that pulls us out of where we were stuck, no matter how hard it is. Because we've seen the alternative. We know nothing else works. So I can try, for example, to shop my way to happiness. I can try, for example, to eat my way to happiness, to drink or smoke my way to happiness, or to succeed my way to happiness, to earn my way to happiness, to purchase my way to happiness. And we can keep doing that. We can keep buying things. We can keep looking for higher and higher posts and positions and roles and whatnot. We can keep looking to the parties or the food or the drink or the drugs or the drama in relationships, thinking that the next wave is going to be the one that's not only going to propel me into a very momentary moment of enjoyment only to bring me back down again, but that actually the next time it's going to propel me into this everlasting happiness, right? It's the next chocolate cake just around the corner. It's the next job. It's the next relationship. It's the next promotion. And eventually you keep doing that. And you realize, oh my God, it's not working. Not that any of these things cannot coexist with happiness. Of course they can. It's beautiful. Have happy meals, happy jobs, happy relationships. It's wonderful. It's just, these are not the things that actually fill me on the deepest, corest spiritual level on the inside. But I can keep trying until I get to a point where I've hit this metaphoric spiritual bottom of, it doesn't work. Not the food, not the drink, not the money, not the sex, not the movies. It doesn't work. And that's when we're finally motivated to actually change. So if you find yourself in a position of saying, my God, I've got everything, but I just find myself sinking into despair, it's actually kind of a good sight, a good sign, because it'll mean that at some point you're going to be propelled to find something that's beyond all of that which you have, that's actually who you are. And that becomes the source of that which you're looking for.
This brings to a close
this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week, and I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on OMTimes Radio.